Welcome back to the 2023 verdict, and as you've seen there, we've got Colonel Leo Abara, who is a former army officer. He's retired now, but he is the Director of Security for Labour Party, and he will be talking to us about the party, the security strategy, measures, and possibly path to victory. Good morning, Colonel. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, Chamberlain.
Well, how does it feel for you, inching closer to the big day, Saturday?
We know that we are cruising to victory.
Cruising to victory?
We are sure of that.
Okay.
We are sure of that.
What gives you that confidence?
My candidate is prepared, and I think he's the best. This election is about security. Nigerians are tired of dying. People can no longer travel freely along the Nigerian roads without being kidnapped. Schools are closed in the north. Because of what? Insecurity. Farmers can no longer go to their farms. Because of what? Insecurity. So how long will Nigerians die?
But Colonel, not that one is trying to denigrate the voters, but have you actually, I assume the party must have, members of your party must have, even if it's a random sampling of the electorate, why they are voting who they intend to vote for? If you've done that and you listen to them, do you think that a lot of them are based on probably rational thinking as to some of the issues you've highlighted?
Of course. If you look at the polls, you know that Obi has been leading, not because he's the one conducting it. It's because of the programs he's putting on the ground. It's because of his antecedents, because of his achievement, and what he wants to bring to the table, in national security. Like I told you, Nigerians are tired of dying. They're afraid. Most of them call me and say, look, if this election do not go the way we want it, some of us will leave the country. Why would they want to leave? Because of insecurity. And if you look at the antecedent of Peter Obi, when he was the governor of Anambra State, he did it. There was security. And right now, he is the only one who has identified that the current security architecture is to be taken to the lab. And do you know the result? The result is that the current national security architecture has expired. It's obsolete.
Okay.
That's why it's not responsive to any of this insecurity confronting the nation.
We will talk about that, but I just want to find out. I mean, I know the party too, I think all parties do it. They do an analysis of their strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. Where they think they'll gather votes, where they think we may not get votes here, where they think, of course, we'll get 25%, and they plot their graph, their path to victory. Now, in that of the Labour Party, and which a lot of people always talking about his path to victory, some of the challenges they think he will have, do you think he's going to have that kind of vote acceptance nationwide, a strategy, those who are going to vote for him? Because you have people who have been vying for this particular position for over 30 years, still in the same race with him. So logically, people will say, wait, how is it going to upstage those who have been doing this? They keep learning for years. You see that happening?
You see, I followed, as a director of security, I followed him around the country during his campaigns. And anywhere we go, if you see the crowd that comes out to see Peter Obi, to listen to his message, it's enough to convince you that this man will win.
But you also know that you can't rely on just that crowd that come out. There are fine details. Do they have that permanent voter cards? Are they sure that they will vote for him? Do you, on that day itself, what will happen? The party agents, a huge component. So all of those factors play up in determining who wins or loses in a polling unit.
Well, I agree with you, but we have done our permutation. We have looked at our structure. We have looked at our followers and believe that Peter Obi will pull through.
Well, I want to, take you up on the issue of security. I mean, one of the things you did you are still doing for the Labour Party is, manning security for them. I'm just a little curious. First, how has it been, your experience going around? I know that you most likely flew around the country if you were with him, but in terms of making sure, that, venues were safe, etc., campaigns are safe, and even the candidate is safe while he's going about his duty, what would you say were your greatest challenges? I'm just a little curious.
Yeah, when I was appointed the Director of Security, I didn't know where it came from. But somebody called me and said, look, if you look at the insecurity across the country, you fit into this job. And because I've been in combat, I've had combat experience. And each time we go to any rallies, we study the ground, we have intelligence, and then we plan according to intelligence and according to the ground. And luckily, whatever we have done has yielded fruit. We went to 36 states of the country. There was no kidnapping. There was no banditry. There was no vandalization of any of our rallies. There was no attack inside any of our rallies. Mm-hmm. And that shows that we must have done a good job. And by the time we finished that of Lagos on the 11th, the rally, though the rally venue was not attacked, but on the streets, some hoodlums didn't want his supporters to come to the venue. But at the end of that Lagos rally, I felt that my team did a good job, securing Obi throughout his campaign across the country. Were there
areas that you had that you were a bit nervous about? Were there areas that you had concerns he was going to be traveling to? That's what I wanted to know.
No. Before he travels anywhere, we have intelligence, and we have men on the ground. We have layers of security that we put in place. Mm-hmm. In fact, you may not see them because you're not a security person. If you play some of those films, you will not be able to see the layers of security being put in place. Apart from the intelligence that we get, the other layers we put, and then the rally goes, everybody goes, but you may not, it is you, the security person, that has erected those security structures, will know that this has worked. And we apply this template across the country. Okay. And today, Obi is safe, traveling 36 states of the country, plus FCT, and I'm sure that my team, my colleagues, will did a good job.
You don't also think that your team, also benefited from the environment that perhaps your colleagues who are still in service put in place?
Yeah, we don't have troops. It is the government that, we rely on the lead agencies, especially the police, the DSS, the military and all that, to, to secure the principal and his campaigns. I give kudos to all of them. Like you said, we flew, well, sometimes we travel by road. For instance, I traveled from Kaduna to Abuja to Kaduna by road. I traveled from Kaduna to Minna by road. I traveled to Minna, Katsina, Gombe, and all that by road.
Mm. Well, you say that the reason I putting this to you, you say that Nigerians, part of what it is that your candidate has promised to come and fix is security. Yeah. You say the security architecture is obsolete. And
it's obsolete.
When you say something like that, as one who has been an insider, you retired as a colonel, that's a redneck in the Nigerian army.
Yes, redneck, of course.
In the Nigerian army. I'm just wondering, what exactly do you think that politicians, what difference do you think that political actors can make to security architectures, military institutions, for instance, when they take office?
Yeah, like Peter Obi is the only one who has identified that this architecture has expired. And he says, I'm not going to get into office if I'm elected with this old, obsolete national security architecture that is not responding to the security challenges of this country. I will have a new one. And as we speak, a new one is being crafted. Immediately he's elected, and he goes through it and ratifies it, and it will become operational.
Can you tell us what precisely is wrong with our security architecture that makes it obsolete?
Okay, now, you see, what we have now was inherited from the colonial masters. It was relevant for security threats of the 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, maybe, but not of the 21st century. It is the information age. How can you secure this country, a policeman carrying a baton? You can't secure Nigerian state with baton. So he has realized that the security architecture was designed to fight state versus state warfare. But today, instead of fighting state versus state warfare, we are fighting state versus violent non-state actors. And in the security architecture, it is regimented. You are trained, you are equipped, you organize to fight the way you are trained, to fight state versus state warfare. It's just like you are preparing for WAEC, you read in English, and then the day of the exam, you are served paper in French and told to write in French. No matter how long you stay in that hall, you can never write anything. And that's what we are going through today.
So how specifically is he going to address it? For instance, policing. What will happen?
Yeah. You see, in the new security architecture, I will come to that policing. The traditional environment that we expect threats are the air, the land, the sea. But today we have the cyberspace. It's affecting the country. I'll come to that. But policing, if you look at Obi's program, the manifesto, it says, I want to take security back to the Nigerian people. And that's why he was talking about state policing, community policing. People say, why would he want to disband the Nigerian police? He said, no, it's policing. If you look at the verb, the word police, it could be a noun, it could be a verb. When you are doing the act of policing, at the community level, at the state level, the people now own security. They become part of the security architecture. So from the wards, from the villages, communities, up to the state, local government, and to the federal, the country is policed. So this issue of ungoverned spaces, strange people coming into communities now have the capacity, have the chance to be able to say, look, we don't understand this person is a stranger. They don't understand their environment. So that's why he's taking this security back to the people under the program of community policing, state policing, federal policing, and all that. Secondly, after the new security architecture is designed, there will be reorganization of the security architecture to be in line with the 21st century, to have resemblance of the information age, and to be able to respond to the 21st century security threats that are confronting this country and the future and emerging security threats. Because there will be reviews. Every year there will be reviews of 5 years. What are the emerging security issues that may confront this country? We get ready for them. So the old security architecture has not taken care of all this. And that is why we are struggling. If you are trained to fight this way, and suddenly you're not fighting that way, it becomes a problem.
But when you talk about security architecture, the old and new, it sounds highfalutin because something, look, the only thing we need to adjust is ensure we get policing right. If we get policing right, will we have any need to worry about several other things?
Yeah. You see, the Nigerian state is in a state of chaos. There's breakdown of law and order. It will be unfair for you to deploy the police to go and restore law and order. What Obi is saying is that when I come in, I will deal with the insecurity and end it. That is a restoration of law and order. Then you can invite the police to now maintain law and order when the armed forces goes to protect the borders or face external threats. But right now, the police is not trained, is not organized, not equipped to restore law and order. That is the difference. Anybody telling the police to go in now will be unfair because now they're not trained for combat. And the people confronting the Nigerian state are armed, well organized, trained to do combat. And the only people that can do that will be the military. And that's why the military is getting involved. So when P2B comes in, he restores law and order by ending insurgency and terrorism. Then the police comes in.
All right, let's get to Lagos now.
Well, thanks, Chamberlain. Colonel, I think placing some of these ideas and plans in the current reality of Nigeria is where the rubber meets the road, as they say, really. And I mean, talking about policing, state police, taking the security to the people, I mean, great idea. But we've heard time and again that we're under-policed, that we don't have as much personnel as we ought to have for a nation of over 200 million people, depending on who's counting. So I'd like you to, speak to the reality on ground, because you said that the people we're fighting against, or the people against Nigeria, they're well-trained, they're well-armed, they are well-organized. And I'll stick with the well-armed part. So if the people give intelligence, there's also be that angle that the people need to be appropriately armed, or whatever security architecture will be operating at those areas would need to be well-armed. We've seen states at this present time, seek approval for, their own security architecture, the various security outfits to get some better firepower beyond maybe the shotguns and the Dane guns that they have. And I wonder, for your principal, would he be considering, for example, approving high-caliber weapons like AK-47s under some sort of supervision for those state security outfits that we have right now, such that they can adequately combat the bandits, the terrorists who have, as you said, high firepower?
Okay, under the new security architecture, they literally have known there will be reorganization of all the 4 components of the national security architecture. And when this is done, it will include increasing the strength, re-equipping them with modern gadgets and modern weapons, and the armed forces will be reorganized to be composite enough to confront these violent non-state actors. We don't need to distribute guns to private individuals, because we want to, Obi will want to clear the insecurity and then bring in the police to handle the internal security. It's not going to be a good idea for him to approve everybody carrying guns. That'd be chaos. And that's what we are witnessing today.
Pardon me, Colonel.
In the hands of the wrong people.
Pardon me, Colonel. This is not for everyone. Pardon me, Colonel. This is not for everyone. I'm talking about the state security outfit. I mean, we've heard the Benue State governor, for example, seeking some sort of approval for AK-47 for the state security outfit. I mean, we have Amotekun. We have all of these other state security outfits. So I'm talking about them, not individuals. I'm talking about those security outfits for states.
Well, by the time this new security architecture kicks off, I don't think such outfits will demand for such weapons, because our military will be capable enough to deal with these violent non-state actors once and for all. There will be no need for people to carry guns, because by then, law and order would have been restored. The idea of carrying guns would have, nobody would be thinking about that. And the police will be in a better position to maintain law and order. The Amotekun and other vigilantes existing is because the current security architecture failed. And that's why we are now resorting to having militias protecting us, all sorts of people carrying guns, because the national security architecture is not capable enough to protect the Nigerian people. It could protect the seat of government, but the Nigerian people are not protected. That's why it's a knee-jerk solution of getting militias to stand in for the national security architecture that should have cared for the people. But when this thing is operational, I believe that there will be no need for militias, there will be no need for such outfits, because Nigerians will be free to travel any part of the country, because under that architecture,
right,
you cannot kill a Nigerian and be in this territory of Nigeria without being dictated. As long as your feet is on the feet of Nigeria, you'll be dictated because of the modern weapons, modern equipment we're going to use. As long as the sky covers you in Nigeria, you'll be dictated. Under Obi's security architecture, it will be difficult for you to commit an offense and get away with it. Under his presidency, there will be no unmanned spaces. And that is because this current security architecture is outdated. That's why you're having people carrying guns coming into the territory of a nation state and, telling people when to wake up, when to go for their businesses and all that.
Well,
that
Colonel,
will end.
Right.
He is going to have what they call security reforms. Right. And these reforms will go training, go into equipment, go into organization, go into a lot of other things. So I'm not going to give you a lot about it, but just be sure that under Obi's presidency, all this insurgency and terrorism taking place will be a thing of the past. And that is a man who has a roadmap. Right. The first roadmap, the first stop is, I want to restore law and order within this country.
Well,
that's
Colonel,
the first thing he wants to do.
Right. Having said
law and
time
order,
and again,
nothing happens.
Right. Having said time and again that the current security architecture, the setup has expired, and earlier on you alluded to the fact that your candidate has gone round the 36 states of the country without incidents in the rally. I mean, we've seen pockets of, attacks here and there, in Lagos, for example, but I mean, you were specific saying that in the rally itself, some will say perhaps it was close to the rally venue, and you alluded to the fact that lots of security cover was provided by the current security architecture, would seem. I imagine the police and other sister agencies. So to that extent, I mean, your candidate has gone round. He's safe. Would you commend the current security architecture, seeing that it helped to keep your candidate safe while he was moving around the country? Well,
you have to look at still the presence of violent non-state actors operating in different parts of the country. That still tells you that the Nigerian state is still being shared by state actors and non-state actors, and that is not normal under a Westphalian state. Whether my principal traveled safe and came back or whatever does not nullify the fact that there's insecurity in the country, that there are people who want to kill others, that kidnapping is going on, banditry is going on, children are no longer in school. Farmers cannot go to their farms because of what? Insecurity. So the old security architecture that is obsolete belongs to the past centuries. It has no effect in the 21st century threat that is confronting this country. And my principal has identified that and wants to tackle it.
Colonel Abara, you talk about your principal as though he is the silver bullet to Nigeria's myriad security challenges, and that's understandable. But I wonder if your strategy is also in full cognizance of, the many factors, influencing the security challenges of Nigeria, be it the socio-economic problems of lack of infrastructure, unemployment, education on the one hand, and if you travel further down to the southeast, the reports of agitation, agitation for self-determination, coloring all of these problems. Now, you are a retired colonel, you have insider information. Would you be putting a timeline to the ability of the administration of your principal, should he win, to deliver this? Because whether we like it or not, security is a big concern on the minds of voters.
Yeah, putting a timeline. Well, if I look at his roadmap, I discovered the first bus stop is restoration of law and order, and he wants to do that as quickly as possible. And what gives him the confidence is that he has understood the various components of insecurity that is, confronting the nation. You see, initially, under the old security architecture, banditry or terrorism is looked at as one big, humongous monster. But as a professional, when you look into it, you discover that it has layers. And why we have wasted a lot of time is that we have been fighting the foot soldiers alone. But when Obi comes in, he understands the different layers of what is confronting us. He will confront them as quickly as possible. And not only the foot soldiers, because we are wasted time. The foot soldiers can be recruited as they are depleted. But if you confront the other four parts of what is going on, I think it will go off. So the confidence is there. Terrorism and insurgency will be tackled because he understands them, and that gives him the confidence to have the security covenant with the people. And by the way, he is the only presidential candidate who has had a security covenant with the Nigerian people. When he travels around the 36 states plus the FCT, each time he picks up his microphone, he has the confidence to, pronounce the security covenant with the people in 3 sentences.
Articulated his approach. Pardon me.
High and dirty.
Pardon me. You've articulated his approach as much as you can, but would you be putting a timeline to it? How long, for instance, would you be delivering on security to the extent that, the military, the armed forces will withdraw from tackling internal insurrection, and then the police will be empowered to fully maintain law and order? How long can you, tell Nigerians that this would last for, and Obi would have delivered on it?
From the back end, I can tell you that within the first 100 days of Obi, Nigerians can travel freely on their roads. Farmers can go into their farms freely. I'm sure of that.
And should the administration fail to deliver this within the first 100 days, what would happen?
Well, I'm not sure that they will fail.
What gives you the confidence? Did you hear me? What gives you the confidence that your principal would not fail to deliver this within the first 100 days?
Because first of all, he has identified what is wrong with the national security architecture. Number 2, he has understood the various components of terrorism, and they will be dealing with them. The old security architecture concentrated on the foot soldiers that are being reproduced as they go. So once those 4 components are dealt with, terrorism will be a thing of the past.
And lastly, just before we return to Abuja, you talked about the possibility that there will be no unmanned spaces within Nigeria under the administration of your principal. I wonder if that also covers the thousands of porous borders that Nigeria reportedly has this time, and how will your strategy tackle this?
You see, when you upgrade your security architecture to be in line with the 21st century threats, equip them with the 21st century weapons and equipment. As long as the sky covers Nigeria, there will be no unmanned space. Intelligence will be in real time, as the old security architecture cannot. People are looking for intelligence here and there, but under that new security architecture, intelligence will be real time. So any part of this country will be covered, whether our waterways, our forests, our borders, our roads. And that's why the man has the confidence to say, I will end this thing permanently. Apart from the kinetic road he's going to follow, he has other projects, other programs, like the agrarian revolution, like the human capital development of the youth. That is coming on board. But first of all, the restoration of law and order is very, very important. Once that is done, then the miracle starts.
Well, I do know that the campaigns are wrapping up right now, and this is the last sweep up. We even understand that there will be a brief media chat of some sort with the Labour Party chairman, at the Labour Party headquarters today. I'm just a little curious, are there areas where you have any concerns about in terms of voting and collation of the votes on election day?
Well, I think the chairman will be able to answer that. That's political.
You are a security consultant.
Once with the assurances we have gotten from the Nigerian government and from the security agencies, I think they will do their job. I don't want to preclude that there will be problems. But I'm sure that there will be peaceful election.
Well, that's what we all pray for. But I'm just wondering if you have areas of concerns, areas that you would like the authorities to pay a little more attention to ensure that, you know, what the people vote for, who the people vote for, is who actually emerges as the candidate.
Yeah, from my experience of what happened on the 11th of this month in Lagos, I want the government to pay attention to Lagos. I don't know how hoodlums will just be let loose on the streets. Nobody's arrested, nobody's punished. It's unheard of. Nigerians in their country want to express their political opinion, they are macheted, their vehicles vandalized. I want the federal government, I want the security agencies to pay attention to Lagos and also the Southeast.
You know, when you say that security will be real time and
intelligence will be real time.
Intelligence will be real time.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not real time right now.
No, it's not. If people want to find out whether Colonel Abara and Chamberlain, they will just send somebody to come and find out. But under the new security architecture, we see you live.
So is that what any of these candidates cannot do when they win?
Have they said that?
Do they have to say it?
They have to say that. And that's why we'll be saying that. That's why I'm here to say what he told me to say.
But we also do remember that when President Buhari got in the first term, first few months, we saw, without even lifting a finger, almost things fell into shape without, you know, doing a lot about it. The electricity was stable to some extent, people were behaving themselves. So does it actually take much to ensure that those things happen for a president?
Well, for President Buhari, you know, he inherited this architecture. So
No, I'm talking about what happened when he won the election, the first few months.
Yeah.
How things fell in line. Yeah. How they didn't need to do so many things, like all of what you highlighted now, for things to fall in place at the time.
Yeah.
So if anybody else were to win, do they need to do that much to ensure that these kind of things happen?
You see, if you look at the antecedents of Peter Obi, they've been consistent. Look at his antecedent in Anambra State. They were consistent from the beginning to the end. And he will tell you to verify. He's the only man that will tell you to verify. And I stand on that to say whether he takes office today, things are normalizing. As he progresses, it will become better and best.
On election day, when people go out there to vote, because that day is usually different from several other things, all the plans, a lot of them unravel on that day. Are you still confident that no matter who, I mean, if they were your supporters, even if they were hungry, no matter the circumstances, if people present all sorts of things to them, trying to induce them, they will remember that they had to vote the Labour Party for these reasons that you mentioned?
Yeah, you see, choose life and money.
All right. Retired Colonel Leo Abara is the Director of Security for the Labour Party. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
All the best.